This episode of 6'5 Guys is brought to you by Defiance Machine, defying tradition with innovation. Our Bros Rifles, precision on another level. JC Steel Targets, the industry leader in quality AR-500 steel targets.
Welcome to our coverage of the 2016 Blue Ridge Rifle Range Steel Challenge.
Yeah, this was just a terrific location outside of Bengay, Washington. It's southwest of Spokane and southeast of Yakima.
If you have a chance, check it out. This is not a full coverage match rundown. We do have limited clips because we competed in this one.
But I tell you, we really want to highlight just what a terrific facility this is to shoot at.
For example, here I am on this stage. We were shooting at 9 rounds in 3 minutes. These targets were spread out across the hillside. So for me, the difficult part was just finding each target and transitioning from one to the next.
Well, and some of the targets were shielded by a hill, and I almost missed the first one because I overcompensated. Now here I am on the long range stage, and the day ended up close to 100 degrees, and by this time the mirage was just absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Trying to find these targets, and you can see here from 990 out to 1,200 yards. They were just real wavy white dots.
Oh, yeah, if you could call them dots. But this was one of the last stages of the match, and I was all too ready to call it a day at this point. But what's interesting about the facility is it has a circular ridge that you can shoot from, and like 360 degrees of shooting.
Now, because of that fact, wind is, for the most part, coming from one direction most of the day, and as you work around this circular course of fire, the way it's laid out, that direction of wind will change from stage to stage. So, for example, when I got to this rooftop, the first couple of shots, I realized I had actually dialed on this stage for my wind. I dialed the wrong direction because I changed for the wind going from right to left, and it was actually going left to right.
But look at that scenery. Is that just beautiful?
Yeah. So we're actually shooting out down to the valley there, 24-inch square at 900, then a 16-inch square, and then we transitioned to a closer target, a 12-inch square at 630 yards. Yeah, looking at that position, I think if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't use my tripod legs like that. I would have just rested the front of that rifle on a big bag.
Yeah, on an incline, what I do now is I don't use a bipod. I use a pillow underneath the rifle because it also gets me down lower, and that way I'm not having to really hike up the rear end.
Yeah.
And I used to go back and forth, but now I exclusively just put like that Bentham bag on the bottom of the stock, and it just really gets me down. So I'm not, right there you're having to hike yourself up quite
absolutely.
a bit, and that just for me it just results in more instability when you're really having to hike yourself up like that. But you can just see from your muzzle brake just the smoke coming out.
Yeah, the wind.
Yeah, I'd say by that time it was easily 15, 20 miles an hour. This was actually a fun stage, and you saw people doing all sorts of yoga-like positions to shoot off that tall tank trap. But this is an example of really reading the rules, and so all you had to do was touch it.
We realized you could sit on that. You could actually sit on it and make your shots.
Exactly. See, there I am right there saying, yes, I am actually, my butt is actually touching it. And my heels were too, so I actually had belt and suspenders. But with that long bipod like that was an incredibly stable position, and I think I either cleaned that stage or maybe only dropped one shot. And I remember I had spun one of the targets around completely where it wouldn't reset, and so they had to pause in the middle of that stage.
Oh, that's right. Yep, I remember that. Yeah, they had to stop the clock and have you finish it up once they got the target reset.
And I didn't mind the rest. They were like, "Oh, do you want to reshoot the whole thing?" And I'm like, "No," because it was actually a good stage.
Now, this is one where you shoot off a tire, 3 shots on a target. Here you can see it's a 12-inch gong at 350 yards.
Yeah, and you know what? I missed that because that tire you could have just shot prone off of. I mean, you did it the right way. I just those were shots that I should not have dropped.
Then you come over here and transition to a new tire, and then you're taking 3 shots at a target on the ridge. Basically, it's silhouetted on the ridge. There's no backdrop behind it. And then I think the last one was on a gong at 600 and something yards.
Yeah, and on large tires like that, I mean, our standard procedure has become, I mean, you can almost use it like a shooting bench, which you did right there.
Yep.
And that's extremely stable position. But I think that was a pretty good stage for you right here. Are you still using that taped on bag right there on your stock, or?
On that one, yeah, that's the 6XC I shot for this match.
You felt that? Oh, you can really see that mirage there. Look at that. How'd you think the 6XC? Because I know you were just. This was like the first few matches you shot with it, right? I mean, were you really seeing a difference, like ballistically, wind-wise, shooting that?
To a certain extent, honestly, for this match, I felt like it performed about as good as I would have done using my 6.5-47.
Yeah, and this was a reasonably good stage here. Of course, I think I timed out on it because, I knew I'd maybe get a few shots off the top. So I just, I took a little bit of extra time and got the shore shots at the bottom.
Yeah.
And
I thought the timing was fairly generous. And, you're basically shooting the same target at all 4 positions on the shoot house. So as you transition from one part of the shoot house to the next, it's all in the same target. It's at 66% IPSC at 445 yards.
Well, it's not generous for given my corpulence. So maybe for the smaller ones amongst us. But yeah, there I was. See, I've got that bag there underneath the rifle, which I just found a really nice way to stabilize on those ports. And then right here, if you can take a prone shot, take that prone shot, which I did here. And yeah, so I just made sure I would get the good shots, and then I figured the top was going to be more hit or miss.
I did like how they had the you can see the orange arrows that actually show you specifically which ports to shoot out of.
I appreciate that because it's like, yeah. And I think on this one the barrel had to be sticking out the window. I think that was the one rule on that. You couldn't be like way behind it.
Yeah.
And then you'll get to watch how svelte I am getting up on that. Oh boy. And in hindsight, I think maybe that SS loophole sling would have steadied me out a little more.
Yeah, but you probably would have had to take probably 10 seconds to clip in. And
but when you saw my original hesitation and then I saw that rail, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to move to the left so I can use it for support.
Yeah.
And, a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have made that choice. I would have just gotten up there where I originally kind of went up to on the right. But that's one of the things, as you just gain more experience, you look at your surroundings and you figure out, okay, how can I make this shot more stable? Because I remember one time there was, remember that Cowboy Town stage there at the Quiet Riot 2 years ago?
Right.
They had something like that.
Now, we don't have any more clips of us to show you. As we had mentioned,
You've seen enough.
Well, for this match, it was fairly well attended from, shooters from Washington and Idaho, I believe. But because we were competing and it was, a pretty hot day, we just didn't get as much footage as we would have liked. But big shout out to Jason Kronk. I believe this is his family's land where they actually have a farm on.
It was their first match, hosting their first match, and they did just a terrific job.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And if you get a chance to shoot a match there, we would highly recommend going out to it. This is just a great venue to hold matches.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the message we want to deliver here, is if you're looking to set up a match and just a great family and a great crew to work with, look no further. Of course, the winners, at least in the Pacific Northwest,
you'll recognize them.
Yeah, well, it's been pretty darn predictable with Nick Darcy and Scott Satterley, Jake Vibert.
Yeah, first, second, and third respectively. So
yeah,
congrats to them.
Incredible shooters. And here's some of the. This was taken earlier in the day as folks were getting ready.
Yeah.
Boy, I love those long summer days and blue skies in eastern Washington.
Guys, if you like this video, be sure to share it with your friends. Subscribe on YouTube if you have not subscribed. And be sure to check out the write-up on the web where we'll have more.
Remember, folks, life's an adventure.
Stay on target.